told her, I, if you had told her, I bet you're going to drop your keys down the grate,
Mm.
she would have been really careful not to.
Okay. Kind of as kind of a counter. Okay, now it's in the conscious because I'm thinking
Yeah,
that's kind of a count. Okay, what's the word? Counter suggestion, because instead of making the suggestion to kind of set up so that her subconscious causes it, that was already going on. So bringing attention to it would be kind of like a counter to that. Is that what, would that be an accurate description?
it pulls it into consciousness, and therefore it's much weaker because the conscious is weaker.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think it's probably the simplest thing that you could do. First answer is yes. Second answer is there's hundreds, if not thousands of things you could do. But I think to Seth's point, maybe one of the simplest things and almost always very effective. I think fundamentally it is always effective, is that the the power of most fear and anxiety and shame and suffering gains strength with cognitive dissonance, which is just another word for separation from consciousness, or like I'm not paying it, even simpler, I'm not paying attention or I'm not aware that XYZ is occurring.
Mhm.
So, uh, whenever we can bring awareness to stuff in a nice and kind and compassionate way that doesn't cause reactance, of course,
Mhm.
we can typically defuse a lot of the power of it. Like a few other examples or some like common examples are someone who's being really aggressive with you, say,
Mhm.
um, and if you're just like, man, you seem like you're really upset. Is everything going all right for you? You having an okay day? If you
Mhm.
respond with something like that, uh, one, it's novelty. Two, it breaks their intended social script. And three,
Mhm.
it brings into the light. Or like you could say something like, man, you seem like a really tough guy that nobody would want to mess with. Like if that's the image they're trying to present to you, sorry, then saying that in the open then gives that posturing much less power because we've now brought it into the light and we've done it in a way that's not inherently causing reactance. So in the case of
Mhm.
your daughter, the example would be, something kind of soft, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, and I'm not trying to get into your business at all, but it seems like you're feeling a little bit stressed out. Is everything all right?
Mhm.
I mean, that kind of seems so simple, I think, but it's just bringing stuff into the conscious awareness. Another thing that I think is really powerful for these situations that I use all the time, especially if I'm talking to new people or especially if it's someone who's having a hard time, is getting really good at elicitation stacking
Mhm.
is a really like critical fundamental skill in these scenarios
Mhm.
because anybody who's feeling like psychological, emotional, physical pain in American and North American society, even with family members, generally speaking, has a proclivity to hide that stuff. And like, I don't want to talk about my pain and suffering to others because I'll seem
Mhm.
weak or, I'll seem like a complainer or whatever the case may be. So elicitation, if you ask a question straight up like, "Hey, honey, you seem like you're having a really hard time. Is everything okay?" Very good chance she says, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm just tired." It's
Mhm.
like with your wife, like, "Is everything all right, honey? I'm fine." Like you're like,
Right.
"That's
Yeah.
not fine."
Yeah.
So
Fine.
And like
Everything's on fine. Everything's fine. Everything's
right.
there's that.
So
And
yeah.
I know there's
So
thousands of things
fine
we can do. This
here.
is this is really a palette set, and it's up to me to paint and pick the canvas. And you're giving me some ideas here. I think I'm going to experiment with that, bringing attention to it, and also maybe, I'm really uncomfortable with this because at that point she might be really suggestible because she is in that subconscious script. And do you mind if we park over here or do, just kind of give a suggestion? So thank you for the ideas, and I didn't
yeah.
mean to
And
interrupt you. So whatever you're going to say, and then I'll. let
You're
everybody
good,
else
buddy.
take
No,
up.
no, no problem, man. It was a really great question. I'm happy you asked it. So, yeah, the other thing I'd recommend doing to start with, and it's something that's really easy, is go into the elicitation st chapter. You can practice this in every part in life. Start kind of getting familiar with some of the different forms of elicitation, and then, in my opinion, when you go into practical implementation, the memorization of 10 or 12 different forms of elicitation is not that relevant. But once your brain starts to pick it up by reading about it, I just tell my mind like, don't ask a question, and your mind will automatically fill in the blank of seems like I bet, I was talking to this other guy this other day, and it seemed like, there's all of these different things that you can do to put in elicitation statements without a question, and it's a very powerful way. The other thing with elicitation that I think a lot of people get wrong at the beginning is they'll do one elicitation statement, they don't get much of a response, and they stop, which is absolutely the wrong approach, especially with the more sensitive information or information that someone's maybe more emotional about or regards as private or regards as only for friends and family. We got to stack it over and over again with different elicitation techniques. So like one time I did the Chase's common example is getting an Uber driver to tell you about what's the craziest thing that ever happened in the backseat of one of his cars. And I asked the guy one time, and he's like, "Oh man, I had some crazy stuff." And I forget, what did I say? I said, I bet it's even crazier than most people think." And he said, "Oh man, it's some pretty bad stuff." You tell he didn't really want to say it yet, you know? And so then I just kept going with elicitation two, three more times in a row. And the next thing I know, he's opening up about these two girls getting naked in the back of his car, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, I'll leave the rest of the story out. But anyways, yeah, the point is stack elicitation works really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so go back a minute. When somebody is angry and they're angry at you, they're typically angry at something else and they're blaming you. If you get even angrier at whatever they're angry about, they can't blame you anymore.
I have a question. Is it okay if I ask about
No,
elicitation?
Dennis, no problem.
Yeah, I don't know why I asked. It's the first time I open my mouth in this group, so I'm like,
You're all right.
no, I'm
You're
I'm
good,
trying
buddy.
to
Take
trying
it
to
away.
find the meaning of elicitation. I'm German and my English is okay, but elicitation, I looked it up, doesn't make sense to me right now. I know I could read later in the chapter, but the idea of elicitation stacking, if you ha didn't have to use the word elicitation, what would it mean?
Oh yeah, like what are some potential translations? So it would be a statement that elicits information, or
Well, using
you
the
want to take
same
out the word
word,
elicit?
it's
It
getting someone to give you information without asking a direct question.
Okay, so it's like teasing something out of someone. It's like uh, having methods where you open them up, make them feel more comfortable in the situation, or you say,
kind of, but not really. It's statements that would generally make a person want to respond with information rather than a
okay.
question.
I think I remember one thing is like, what was it? When you make a false, like it's not true, but you say, you're into this and that stuff, and they're not, and then they
They
want to
want
set
to
the record
correct you.
straight.
Yes.
'Cause, yeah, I
Right.
think somewhere Chase or Behavior Panel they talked about that once.
Yeah. Or, oh, I'll
Okay.
bet your job pays between 30 and 40,000 a
Yeah, yeah,
year.
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, I totally got it now. Thank you.
No problem, man. Good And you're not alone. I know a lot of people in European countries have struggled a lot with that stuff, especially I know in some European language, the embedded commands don't work quite as well.
I haven't,
But I'm,
I haven't gotten to that, but I find the German language is difficult. My wife is Canadian, so I speak English every day, and I'm so used to it, and it's so much easier to like communicate, I find, in English. And German sounds so awkward especially if you're trying to uh, say things with meaning, and maybe it's because I'm English in my head, but it's difficult. Yeah.
I know there's definitely some people in graduate school from Europe, from some different countries that have put a lot of work into translating these things. So I know there is workarounds for everything. I mean, I know Chase had to work one time when he was still in active duty on translating some things into Farsi, which is apparently a really difficult language. But he was able to do that as well. So if it's something that you want to do, it's definitely possible, but it could take maybe a bit of work.
Well, some techniques just won't work. There are languages in which you can't embed a command. In English, it's really easy, where some phrase could stand alone as a command. In some other languages, that just doesn't happen. You can still embed it by using something like a quotes pattern. I was talking to this person and he suggested, he told me to do something. In any language, the direct translation of that works.
Yes, exactly. I found exactly the same. In German, you can use a lot of citates. He told me to do this, and I read about this. This works all the time. And if you plan the sentence ahead, you can use a lot of sentence structures about ambiguity and finishing one sentence and starting the next sentence with the same words. This also works in German, but you have to plan ahead. You can't use it so intuitively like in English. It can be done, but it has to be planned ahead, each statement extra.
Nice. Thanks for that, Thomas. All right, Costin, what you got?
Hello, Merlin. I have a question. How to achieve calm enjoyment when you have to do something that you really hate doing it?
Say that again. What was the question?
How to achieve calm enjoyment when you have to do something that you hate doing it?
Well, that goes back to our original question, I think, which was perception and context. I think so. Typically, our relationship to not enjoying stuff, at least from my perspective, pun intended, typically ties back to our perspective of that. And based on our perspective of the task or chore or whatever thing we're doing, what contextual significance do we give that thing? And then which kind of on the outcome puts, what type of permission it generates in us. I think that, yeah, I mean that's the philosophical answer. It might not be the very contextual, here's how to go fix this tomorrow answer. I think I'd have to dive in to who you are as a person, what the thing is specifically to figure out how to fix the issue better. But do you have any general statements you want to make on that, Seth?
Not really. I was
Yeah.
okay. Yes, please.
Yeah, generally, when you say, I hate doing something, you don't actually hate it. You dislike it. You find it annoying or boring.
Yes.
Think of it as, okay, it's annoying, but I'm accomplishing something. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to do it.
You have to do it, then you
People
have to do
say,
it. I don't like
I
it.
hate housework. I hate housework. You don't really hate it. It's just boring and annoying. But your house gets cleaner.
Okay.
So you can enjoy the fact that your house is cleaner.
You can. So, like, I think basically, Costin, we're giving you some generalized things. And if I were you sitting in your shoes right now, I feel like I would be thinking, okay, this is all great, but I still hate it when I do the dishes. And, you feel like you hate it, or you feel like it's very annoying, whatever. Um,
If you practice mindfulness, for example, you train yourself to do just the things very mindful, and it doesn't matter, no, not at least what you're doing. It feels exactly the same. Doing something mindful is exactly the same if you're doing something pleasant as well as something unpleasant. It's just the quality of mindfulness. If you practice it regularly, everything can be very neutral for you. That's the best what
yeah,
I found, to do unpleasant things, to do it mindfully.
it's an extraordinary example of one way you can change your perspective on that. It's really good. And David said in the chat that someone said I'm out someone that could be another thing. Really, what we're doing, Costin, is reprogramming the dopamine pathways. And a lot of what it comes back to oh, is sorry, I don't know if my internet was cutting up. A lot of what it comes back to is discipline as well. So it's when our dopamine pathways get messed up a bit, or not messed up, when they're just working in a less than desirable way. A lot of the time we're focused on short-term pleasure tasks. So things that we'll do that'll give us pleasure quickly, but may give us discomfort or regret or shame long term. Whereas if we can start to reprogram those pathways, which depending on your neurology and your medical history and a ton of things can be very difficult sometimes, but I think it can be accomplished in almost any human to reprogram yourself to start to focus on things that will make you feel good in the long term. Really, that's what it all comes down to. So if you're, because let's say doing the dishes, for example, it's a common one. Um, when you walk back into that room and then an hour later and the kitchen's clean, you're going to feel good. So if you're connected to that future version of yourself more than you're willing to sacrifice the needs of the present self for the future self, the more that relationship gets built, less uh, either discomfort or pain or whatever is felt or thing you're doing. So again, pretty broad philosophical answer, but hopefully you can take that information and kind of drill down on that for yourself personally. And then like Thomas and David said, there's 1,000 little techniques you can do. You can give yourself rewards. You can think about being mindful. You could start meditating. I mean, you fill in the blank. There's a lot of stuff,
Thank you.
but that's going to depend on you.
Thank you very
Just
much.
ask yourself, what will future me wish I had done?
Okay.
Yeah. And
Thank
if
you.
you, the more you can put yourself through that perspective, damn, does it start to feel good. And if you have a bad relationship with your future self, what I normally coach people on is starting off with just creating, even if so you're waking up later than you want to, change it and set your alarm to be waking up later. So if you have a bad relationship, you don't trust someone at all. If they've lied to you 1,000 times in a row, and then they tell you they're going to do something, your belief that they're going to do that thing is zero, essentially. The same thing applies for yourself or the future version of yourself. So the first thing we need to start doing is whatever we say we're going to do that our future self, that so whatever we say that our future self is going to do, that we do that thing. So even if it's not the optimal version or the absolute best version, as long as we start doing that thing over and over again, we start to strengthen the relationship where your future self starts to believe your current self a little bit more. It's like, man, this guy lied to me for like 5 years, but the last week or so, he's been telling the truth, you know? So maybe this thing, I'll believe it. Whereas trust takes a long time to build with others, and it also takes a long time to build in yourself. But the best way, imagine if you had a friend who didn't trust you at all, the best way is to pick something small and simple that you can fulfill your word and what you said you were going to do. And you kind of slowly build up from there. And as that trust builds, Imagine you've got trust with someone, you've kept your word every day for 5 years, you've never lied, and then there's something that you kind of don't want to do, but you've said you're going to do it. You'd be much more likely to do that thing because you want to preserve that trust, right? You want to preserve that relationship.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think, anyways, building relationship with your future self.
Thank
Hope
you.
that helps. All right.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, man. Yeah. Good luck. Greg, what do you got, buddy?
Hey, Merlin. Just this is a question about the nightly hypnotic induction from confidence. At the very end, when you're going into the Egyptian temple and you've got the statue with the jewel and you smash the statue and the jewel, I'm just curious, does this come from a specific mythological story, or did Chase just create this out of whole cloth? Do you know?
My guess would be it's a slight mix of the two. Knows way more about this. What do you think, Seth?
Yeah. I'm not aware of any specific source for it, but of course, all the parts of it appear all over mythology.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm used to similar like guided meditations and things, and I just didn't know if he was referencing something specific or if, yeah, to your point, he just kind of put it together from pieces.
Or he might have gotten it from someone else who did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, that's good. I just curious because it's uh I don't know, similar to other things, but I'm not by no means am I an expert on like Egyptian mythology. So just wanted to ask the question.
That's a
Yeah.
great question, man.
The general technique to use as the hypnotist is what's a metaphor for what I want.
Uh-huh.
Find one that's known, that's sort of similar, and just change it to be much closer.
Okay. Got it. All right, cool. Thank you very much.
Well, no problem. That was easy peasy. Who's next? I'm just looking in the chat here. I think David looks like maybe just making a comment.
Okay, there's an earlier question about frames when
Okay.
dealing with a script monkey doing customer service.
Okay, you want to read it out? Who's it from? What does it say?
That's from Jennifer M. Irwin. Says, when dealing with, say, Verizon customer service, and they are locked into their company language legally, what do you do, Ray, frames when, say, they are not playing ball and you're trying to stay calm in the father frame and the call takes hours with no resolution? What kind of frame is this? What does one do? Well, to start with, I wouldn't pick the father frame. I would pick a frame that says they want to help me and they're able to do something. And my frame says they are doing whatever they can to help me. Because that's the frame I want them to pick up.
Yeah, pretty good. That's basically what I do for the most part. Really calm, really composed. Thank them a lot for helping you, even if it's a little bit before, even if they've don't do it to where it's socially awkward, but if they've done one tiny thing to help you, thank them a lot for it and thank them for being so willing to help you out and take the time. The other thing that can be really powerful here, negative dissociation and positive association, which is very true for these type of people, right? So like, part of my language here, but I have a feeling you deal with a lot of assholes on the phone all day. And I can imagine that would be really frustrating. just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate everything you're doing, and I think you guys do a tremendous job down there. So pretty simple, really powerful. Pretty much every teleprompter on planet Earth is going to agree with the fact that they deal with a lot of assholes. Um, Other things are asking for advice. Not a lot of people ask for advice, and it's a great way to put them in the seat where they have to explain to you. So you can say something like, this is an interesting, so say we're kind of stuck on something. I'm like, dang, this is an interesting situation. I'm curious, if you were in my shoes, what would you do? What do you think the best thing to do here is? And I find that can be a pretty powerful frame as well. Hope that helps. All right.
Also, again,
Who's
depending on
next?
exactly what the situation is, I've had tremendous results starting off with, I hope you can help me. I think I just did something stupid.
That's a good one. Yeah. It's a good one. That's kind of a friend script as well too, which is good.
But it's also, I'm taking the blame, so you know I'm not going to get mad at you.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's an important point too. All right. Yeah, who's next? We got 15 minutes left. Let's deliver some bring your hardest, deepest, darkest questions. What do you guys got? It's your shot. 15 minutes and then we're
Okay,
gone
bring your
forever.
easiest questions.
Okay. I'm going to ask you another PCP question about a specific scenario. So I'm sure, as everybody's well aware, we just had a pretty major election in the United States here. And I'm seeing a lot of people have these crazy emotional breakdowns. How can I use PCP framework to let them know that, like, look, even though the candidate that they didn't vote for, even though their candidate didn't win, like things are still going to be okay.
Well, Seth, you're American. I'll let you take this nuclear bomb. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, first step back. What's your goal?
My goal is to talk these people off of the ledge. Like I'm seeing a lot of people that have just really like in a really bad emotional state. Um, people like so I'm seeing people just like freaking out
Okay,
because of the result of the election.
take them through the grief model.
That's what I was thinking early this morning, actually.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
That is a great answer. One thing too is my biggest thought when you ask that question is this is tied to these people's identity.
Yeah. Big time.
So it's not an easy shift. You got to be real careful. Like what I know about the more that something's tied to someone's identity, and if they're not in a dissociated state, if you start to wedge open influence too quickly, then so if we look at all of influence as a wedge, right? So we're starting with something small, then incrementally and exponentially growing. It's really easy to go one step too big, and then the whole frame cracks, and then reactance is generated, and you get nowhere fast. So you got to be careful, especially if you wanted to do it in a very limited time frame. It would probably require a fairly high level of skill and competency, I think, to achieve. Um, Another model which is really useful, I think, for that would be the fate model, which there's a great lesson in graduate school, if any of y'all are in grad school, where Chase goes through an hour-long lesson of how we can use the fate model to either induct someone into a cult, but specifically in that cult, he goes through how you could use it to get somebody out of a cult. And a cult and a political identity in the United States are not that indifferent at this point. So when we're doing those things, you're looking at starting to change it just a very small amount going down the fate model from start to finish. So if their pattern of focus is on X result or X reality, we want to start to change their focus just a little bit. So we want to, and then on the authority side, right, which is part of how we're going to change their focus, we would want to look for, okay, not like, oh, here's a bunch of evidence that you're wrong, but could there be one thing, one tiny time that you've been wrong about this belief of this authority figure that you had? And we slowly start pulling them away from the tribe. The thing about this approach is it would normally take a really long time. It would take a decent amount of interaction, and it could take months, months and months of like repeated interaction and just slowly chipping away at each model step of the fate model. You could do it rapidly for sure, but then you'd be into a whole different bucket of different techniques. And to do it without hijacking their freedom of autonomy, so to speak. So without like massively creating disassociation or an altered personality state, it would be so hard, I think, to do it within the framework of a few minutes. But it could be done if you just hijack their mind, but then it's not really fair. It's you, and they would probably wear off as well. All right, cool. What do we got here from Tom? Tom Prevost. Tom, you're up, buddy. He's looking.
Okay.
There he is.
Yeah, I tried to unmute. What I've noticed a lot of people on YouTube are doing that seems to help. They already have a pretty good rapport with their viewers, and they basically just validate that they made the right decision. They made a decision better than the other party, and that seems to be working with most of the content providers on YouTube. So I mean that's the only thing that I can see. They're just validating that they made the best choice.
It's a good frame that you'd want to start with, Tom. That's great. So like even if we were going to do what I was saying with the fate model, that could be a great place to start. Because we're coming at it from a frame right away that's not going to generate reactance. Like that's a pretty good low reactance frame to start with. So like and then we could go like, but, you know,
Exactly.
and I know XYZ person is a really good person, and they've obviously done a lot of incredible things. But there's got to be one small little thing that's been a little bit different than you thought it would be. And so we're just starting the wedge of changing their relationship to that authority figure. And then if we wanted to really switch them over time, we would start moving them away from their tribe. Again, just in a small way. So it'd just be like for 30 minutes at a time if they're in a real full-on cult.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dennis, what do you got, good sir?
Yeah, so I have a friend who started having paranoid delusions and like really psychosis. And I just thought, because I talked to someone and they indicated that there might be something that can be done to shift them in their thinking. And I've spent hours talking to him, and it feels like you can come with reason. You can show them, you can prove things by logic, and it's like something they manage to twist it always into so that their distorted view of the world still is the one that's established and ruling. So when you said ask hard questions, or that, like that's something that I'm really wondering. Is this something that can be influenced? Can we help someone that really has a problem where they dug themselves so deep in their psyche into something that's completely, like, if I told you, you'd be like, that's, of course, it's not happening. But in their mind, it is. And are there techniques, and where do I start looking to familiarize myself with them?
The official answer to that is if you think anyone's like in danger of hurting themselves or has severe psychological problems,
They
talk to a
are in
doctor.
care
Yeah,
also.
make sure
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
The unofficial answer there is definitely yes, and um, there's lots that you can do. What I was talking about with the fate model earlier is good too. I find it's interesting. It's often people with that I've noticed with the most cognitive capacity that end up in these loops because their mind is so good at rationalizing and justifying things. They can do it around almost any idea and create very good logical connections that most other people have a hard time arguing against because they just have so much more horsepower under the hood of their mind than the average person. So and then which further isolates them and draws them deeper into their thinking because they're like, well, I'm clearly smarter than everyone else, and that's why no one else gets it. Um, so yeah, tricky to do. Kind of like what Tom said. You definitely need to start from a place of non-reactance, regardless. So like at opening, they need to feel like we're on their team. Uh, that has to be achieved. And then from there, that's one where I would definitely look at the slow roll fate model. I would want to go step by step through the fate, and you just go through it one, two, three, four, one, two, three, four, and you would do that over the period of months. So, and look at doing small incremental changes. So we're trying to just slowly change their pattern of focus a little bit, just a tiny bit. Like if we can get them to talk about something else or something healthy for a small amount of time. If they have someone they hold up as a real authority figure, which is pretty common of people who get in delusional states, whether it be like some YouTube conspiracy guy or whoever it might be, or some old famous writer that they've gone down the rabbit hole rereading his books 1,000 times. We want to just try to subvert again that authority figure very slightly, each little step, and then if they're connecting to some tribe or if they don't have a tribe, which is also common with people like that, then we want to just start connecting them to a tribe of people who share an identity that we would want to implant. And in this case, that would be people who are just psychologically healthy. So I would pick something that already fits into their personality structure, right? If they liked video games, it would be a bunch of cool guys that play video games. If they're kind of sporty a bit at all, it would definitely be an outside or outdoor activity because anything that we can there's a lot to be said with mental health and just physical exercise. Um, and then yeah, then we can start changing their emotional state as a result of those things.
Okay,
So, Seth?
that's yeah, it totally makes sense. Also with the way he is able to rationalize this stuff because he's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
And my strategy was kind of making sure I'm not challenging at all his views. I'm like more listening and asking him a question here and there that maybe makes him think about things. Um,
Yeah, so what
so
we
so
want to
I've
do though, they're like the best way to change their pattern of focus, I find, especially if it is fitting into that archetype of being really smart and stuff, is just novelty.
okay.
So we can do like non-responses to statements and then change of subject and change of state. And then you'd want to
Yeah.
start to layer things together. Like we would use entrainment at the same time. So we're moving physically at the exact same time we're changing the subject. We also are exhibiting like confidence, uh, enthusiasm about the topic.
Yeah.
So it's coming off in a way that's sincere and genuine and caring. We're not being dismissive in any means, but we're just changing their frame of mind and changing their pattern of focus. I think
Yeah.
that's the best thing. It's not because we're like you said, we're never gonna out logic or out argue them. But
Yeah.
if we can do like quick novelty insertion, focus, and then change of subject, that can be a great way to start. And then also trying to change their environments. Also pretty common, those people will get stuck in one environment, which is then related to their behavioral state a lot, which if you study hypnosis, a big thing, right? Like if you've been depressed and sitting in an apartment for 10 years, it's going to be pretty hard to change your psychological state if you continue to live there. Um, so, same in the micro, if we can get them outside, we can get them to a coffee shop, it's going to make it that much easier for us to then change their pattern of focus if we're in a new physical environment. So we can change
Yeah.
physical environment, change pattern of focus, novelty, and then boom, and then focus, authority, tribe, emotion, focus, and like we just keep that on repeat.
Okay, would you say that it's sort of like the pathways in the brain need to be like they're very much, I don't know how to say, established in the wrong way, and by shifting him into like different topics, novelty, we're creating new pathways, and those die out, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yeah,
we're just rewiring his brain with these techniques, and the psychosis part is sort of not used anymore, not as established. His reasoning mind comes back here, sees like real life and enjoying it or stuff like that. So we could see it like that.
100%. Yeah, if we look at it from the perspective of neuroscience, his dopamine or her dopamine
Yeah.
is all wrapped up in whatever thing
Yeah.
that's going on there.
He even said that.
And
Yeah, right.
yeah, and then we got the synaptic pathways and ventral tegmental area that's making all the dopamine, and the hippocampus that's got all these learned things from. So that's why, like, it's precisely because of those synaptic pathways and the dopamine responses is a big reason why the environmental shift helps so much, because those two things get tied together. Like I've experienced this dopamine chain in this environment so many times, but by creating novelty in a new environment, it opens the mind up more to go, I haven't been here before. I need to figure out how to navigate this environment. I need to figure out what are the ways I'm going to get dopamine in this environment instead. So yeah, you're
Awesome.
totally right. There's definitely a bunch of deep neuroscience stuff we could get into that correlates to why those techniques are working and why we're choosing to do those things.
Cool. Thanks. That was
Yeah,
super helpful
no problem, man.
and making me hopeful.
You got anything you wanted to add on that, Seth?
Well, there's the line from Mark Cunningham about burn your furniture, where he says, after you've done something that's made a big change in you, you don't want to go back to your old environment with all of the anchors.
Who said that?
So at least rearrange things. Mark Cunningham, hypnotist. If you can get them to change their environment, even just rearranging their furniture.
Can help a bit. But as Seth said, the best thing is to just light a match. Burn that baby down. Not that I'm suggesting you do that. For the record, please do not burn down anyone's house as a result of my advice.
But that's the biggest change, but you get almost as good results, much more safely. Just move stuff around. It will no longer be as familiar.
Yep. Great point, Seth. All right. We're at time. I hope you all enjoyed that. I know this thing's recorded, so if any of you guys want to go back, watch it again, I think it's going to be available for you guys. Pleasure to see y'all. Thanks for taking the time to hang out with us. And yeah, we'll see you around the app. Hope to see some of you in graduate school soon, where you get some one-on-one coaching with me and all the other amazing resources that we built for you guys in there. So yeah, I know Bill's one of our new superstars in graduate school. He got NCI2 certification, and I think what was it, like a month and a half.
It was just the
All
one.
right.
I haven't done two yet.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I was trying to talk you up, man. Come on, go with
Sorry. Turn it up.
it. All right. Take care, guys. Good to see you.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
Bye all.
Thank you. Bye bye.